any puzzle that she's ever turned. Yeah, this is our 174 units Avery portfolio in Tulsa, Oklahoma. The goal for today is to talk about the deal, talk about the team, and then talk about how you can be a part for anybody who might have some a little more interest into it. So, Bien, if you want to take it away here. Let me read a few things first to get going here. First of all, this is from our attorney to make sure that we are in good standing the whole time. So the material here does not constitute an offer or solicitation to purchase securities. An offer can be only made by a private placement memorandum. We're going to ask that you request a copy of that private placement memorandum if you are interested in investing. The information here is offered under Regulation D, Rule 506C, commonly referred to as a 506C. Exemption from SEC registration. This offer can be publicly advertised and shared accordingly. So for the deal itself, it's the 174 unit Avery apartment summary. It includes forecasts, projections, and other predictive statements based on assumptions and expectations made by the manager, which is us, in light of currently available information, historical property performance, industry trends, market conditions, and information provided by the seller. The property's actual performance may differ from these projections based on factors outside of the manager's control. Moreover, past performance is no guarantee of future results. Therefore, no guarantee is presented or implied as to the accuracy of specific forecast projections or predictive statements contained herein. That's my least favorite part of this whole thing, is the reading. All right, the fun part, however, is this the agenda, right? You'll see laid before you. Again, we're going to talk about the team and the deal and how we can work together. So we'll move on to our executive summary. All right, a little layout. You've got pictures of what the clubhouses look like at some of the two of the properties. 174, it's a Class B property in a Class B area, gorgeous area, which is really what lured us in from the beginning. It's in the Midtown area of Tulsa, Oklahoma. We'll talk a little more about Midtown in a bit, but it's one of the special areas of Tulsa that's in the path of progress, and we're pretty fortunate to be there. The current owner has put in $2 million in CapEx, but more importantly, $2 million within the last year and a half. So a lot of activity has gone on, and it's in the it's in a very lucrative part of an upswing in terms of property valuation. We are going to go in and add some value add. We're going to continue mostly with the value add approach that they've had before, which is to say upgrading selected rents, selected units, and then adding some NOI increasing opportunities in the surrounding area. A lot of that's going to be repositioning as well. We'll add signage. There'll be some rebranding strategies occurred with that, and then that will reposition us with both property, physical layout, and tenant base as well. All right, next. Some of the investment highlights here. Purchase price $12.55 million. We'll talk later about the appraisal, but it's already been appraised well above that, both the current and the stabilized value. So we walk in there with equity built into the appraisal already. You're going to hear another thing about a property that down the street that's just been sold. You see here 72,000 a door is what we are purchasing this at. A similar vintage comparable property down the street just sold for over 83,000 a door. So again, we walk in there with equity already built in, which makes us even more excited for what's in front of us. The equity raise at $4.6 million. We talked about we'll be continuing the rehab of a strategy that's been laid out before us. So there's $1 million built in for that. We've got 2% acquisition fees and an asset management fee that will be in there to help us carry this out through over the course of the hold. One of the big staples of this deal is the 100% bonus depreciation. As you might have known, you probably read about it. It's the calendar on the bonus depreciation is expiring. So we have just about a year remaining for deals to be able to qualify under that. So we're lucky enough that will get to be a part of both what we're doing and you as an investor, you get to be a part of that. And then the rest of it is the stipulation between the different levels investments. Most of us coming in at that Class B will give what you see as a 70-30 split, 70 with the LP or U investors, and then 30% with the manager, as we referred to before, which is to say our management team. At 12%, that goes into a 50-50 distribution. And then finally, local third-party management will be running this. We're so fortunate enough to have a really successful property manager already in place with some previous properties that we own in Tulsa, which is about 2 miles away. And that team will be able to take on this deal and take it to the next level as well.
Hey, Aaron, I want everybody to understand the magnitude of that, because you said something that just, it's like mind-boggling. So you talked about the spread between our actual acquisition price, and then, of course, this is contingent upon that other property, selling and all of that, but the spread between what we're paying for and what they're potentially paying for that property. I mean, what does that equate to in dollars? I mean, that $10,000 difference, what is that, like $1.7 million in equity?
Right. Yeah. Doing quick math on 174 units alone. And again, you're going to hear about the appreciation going on. Most of this is based on organic appreciation, right? That has nothing to do with the fact that we will strategically be altering this position and the value of it alone. So yeah, I think another common theme everyone will be hearing is how this deal has amazingly just gotten better over time. It was good when we got in January and started negotiating. It was pretty good when we locked it up in February under contract. It's turned into something above that now after because of the industry, because Tulsa alone. So yeah, it's a really good point. The team that's in front of you, the pictures you'll see on the right of your screen and then above here. Myself, we'll say this, me and Vienne and Toby had gotten together just a little over a year ago. We had similar interests. We were in similar mastermind and had some mentors that had connected us. We had interest in the area, and that's what kind of drew us together. All of us having somewhat of a similar desire to go from single family or small multifamily into a larger piece. Admittedly, we're all chasing legacy. We're trying to leave something far better than we could otherwise, and have been so fortunate to get to do that together. And then Keisha has come on in this last year as our main capital raiser, and our inspire in chief is kind of her main role, really. Both for those of you who have interacted with her and us, you've probably seen her on social media, and the quality of stuff that she's given out to everyone. On the side, we have LP investments over hundreds of units already. As a GP, we have been taking down deals across the Midwest, mostly in Oklahoma, within this past year, which is why we had our eyes set on Tulsa for so long. But we have a vast array of experiences, from chemical engineering, as is Bien, to full-time real estate, which is Toby, to the academic side, and coaching on my side. And then and Keisha, both Keisha and I having some military background as well, which has led her to a nose for logistics and understanding sustainment, and being able to apply those to our deal that's in front of you. Did I miss anything there on us? We're not too exciting. These guys are exciting. We love our KPs that have been a part of here. You see right here, over 1,500 multifamily units. Just recently closed a deal for nearly $12 million in the last month. 2 years ago, had a $5.75 million deal that they take down, and have a similar build to it, or a similar approach to it, which is go in there with a value add opportunity and be able to take it from opening to closing, basically all the way to disposition, all the while being able to contribute value to their constituents, their community members, their tenants, and to investors and team members like us. All right, you'll love this part. Yeah, I'll turn this over to Keisha, who knows a little bit about Tulsa, a place that we've all kind of fallen in love with in the last year.
Yes, thank you, Aaron, for that great introduction. Welcome everyone to this webinar. We are so excited that you took the time out of your day to join us. So the market overview, as you can see on the left, there is a job growth in this market. We are at 2.2% for unemployment rate. The MSA occupation rate is 94.2. However, the asset is currently sitting at 100% occupancy, and there has been a 4.9% rent growth from 2020 to 2021. The median age of the population is 35.5 years old. It is ranked by Forbes as the #1 place for business and careers, also 7% below the national average cost of doing business and 11% in the national average. I really would like to highlight the Tulsa Remote Program. This program attracts workers to move to Tulsa, and they provide $10,000 as far as grants to people that apply for this program, and also provide free co-working spaces and subsidies and apartment rentals. Also, there is a great cultural presence in Tulsa, and I'll highlight that in the next slide, and also the outdoor activity presence. So can we go to the next slide, please? So the market overview continuing. There are many employment opportunities in Tulsa, with Amazon being one. In 2021, Amazon had opened the 3rd fulfillment center in Tulsa. As you can see, there's also Quick Trip, which is gasoline, like a corner store as well, and gasoline shop. But Tulsa was previously known as the oil and gas market, but now it has transitioned to a tech and service base. So on the left, you see that there are 12 companies that have 1,000 employees or more. And then on the bottom right, you see that there are 8 companies that have 500 employees or more. So next slide, please. All right, as you can see, this deal consists of 2 properties. So it's all about location when you are investing in an asset, right? We always say location, location, location. And up in the upper left-hand corner, you see Avery Square, which is 72 units. And then across from Interstate 44 is Avery Park, which is 102 units. And so you can view both of the properties right off of the interstate, which I really love, which is, again, Interstate 44. This interstate runs diagonally through the entire state of Oklahoma and connects to 3 of Oklahoma's largest cities. So we have Oklahoma City, we have Tulsa, and we also have Lawton. But most importantly, it's located in Midtown. So Midtown has a lot of a history. And so it's one of the city's most sought out communities. So it has great schools, urban forests, historical neighborhood, many landscape parks, superb shopping centers, entertainment, and recreation. So I really would like to highlight that. So it's truly the heart of the city, right? So there's a lot of historic charm. And this is the neighborhood that's most stable and prosperous real estate values, which leads to the price per square foot in residential sales is always increasing. It's also located close to downtown. So let's look back on the map, continuing looking back on the map, you see University of Oklahoma, Tulsa, and then you also see University of Oklahoma, Tulsa School of Community Medicine. And so that is about 4.5 miles from Avery Square. Also going north, we also have University of Tulsa. It's about also 4 miles. And then we have Bishop Kelly High School. This is a private Catholic high school, and it's 2 miles away from Avery Square. Also, you see that there's recreation, which is highlighted in green. And I'm an outdoor person. I love being adventurous. So this really excites me. So we have LaFortune Park, and this is the first county park in Oklahoma. And it consists of over 270 acres. So you got trees, you have ponds, and over 100,000 visitors visit here per year. It also has 18-hole championship golf course. So we have baseball fields, community centers, fishing ponds, playgrounds, you name it, it's there. And then you also see on the map, the Sharon Miller Museum of Jewish Arts. So at this location, at this museum, they preserve and promote Jewish heritage. the culture, the history, and the community through art and education. And in 2020, they added the Kaiser Holocaust Center. And so this attracts more visitors to this location, and they have over 250 artifacts. And my favorite, the third location as far as recreation, is the Southern Hills Country Club. So I don't know about you, maybe you're a golfer out there, but this is a private member-owned country club, and it's well known for the championship golf course. Last month, they just had the PGA championship there. And so it has tennis courts, pool complex, golf performance center, health and wellness center, I love that, and outdoor dining venues. And last but not least, this is the bonus, guys. Are you guys ready? There is a gathering place that is very near to both of these properties, Avery Square and Avery Park. I'm so excited about this because this is the world-class park that was built in 2014, funded by George Kaiser Family Foundation. They invested more than $100 million from private donations as far as construction and operation. So Tulsa's Riverfront Park is over 100 acres, and it's also along the Arkansas River. So it's a natural space for the entire community to come together to learn, explore, and play. And it is free. That's the best part. Free admission, guys. Did you hear that? So you have a restaurant, you can, there's outdoor concerts, events, playground, garden, and so much more. So this is a great day to take your family out. They have trails, garden, playgrounds, you name it, they have it. I mean, it is over 100 acres. So I would like to hand it over now to my partner, Vian.
Thank you, Keisha. That was really good on Gathering Place. So as Keisha mentioned, the Gathering Place was like the world-class park, that was put together in 2014. So over the Memorial Weekend, my daughter and I, we had a chance to really just take a mini vacation to Tulsa and hang out, because I do go to Tulsa at least once a month, but most of the time on business trips, looking at properties, checking out on existing properties that we own. But this time, my daughter and I, we just went Memorial Weekend and hang out at the Gathering Place. So as you can see here, we visited several parks. So within the Gathering Place, there are several playgrounds. Like there's a lot, anybody can play, from toddlers all the way to teenagers, really. So she was able to play at the downtown Tulsa playground, standing on top of the building there. And then also the castles too. The two pictures on the bottom left-hand corner, it's like, these are very, oh my goodness, like huge castles that are connected, with many bridges. And she was able to go up there and really just to see what Tulsa looked like. So I have to say, this park is really nice. I think it has a lot of activities for all ages. Anybody can go there, whether you want to bring your kid or just really sit next to the lake or river and just hang out, Now, another place that we also visited when we were in Tulsa is was the PHILBROOK Museum. So this museum is basically, it has a lot of collection from all over the world, right? And it's also focused on the Native American collections, featuring like basketry, pottery, painting, and all that. And just the structure itself is beautiful. And the plus side that this museum comes with a very, very beautiful garden as well. I think this garden has been ranked like the most beautiful place in Oklahoma. It's like a mini Tuscany, like it has European feel when you're there. So I took some photos of my daughter there, and I just want to share my personal experience when I was there. And then at nighttime, I do like outdoor activities like Keisha. So during nighttime, they have a film event, right? So you just bring your blanket, lawn chairs, whatever you want, and really just sit down, relax, and enjoy the movie. So the band started at 6 o'clock, and then the movie started at 8:30. So at that time, we were watching a School of Rock. My daughter came over, was like, "Mommy, that movie was really funny," and she's 4 and she understands it. It's really funny. So yeah. So overall, I would say, both of these two locations are within minutes from the Avery property, so that our tenants, of all ages can access on the weekend, so that can, relax and enjoy their day. So this is just some personal experience that my daughter and I have while we were there that I'd like to share with you. Now I'll turn it over to Toby, who will talk about the property itself.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Vian. Thanks for sharing that experience. We got to visit the gathering place a few times, and I didn't fall within that age spectrum that you set out, but I definitely played. Much older than 2 to 18.
Toby was all over the castle.
Yeah, they had me at castle
And the slide. He gets cranky when you have to get him off the slide.
To Keisha's point, true story. So whenever someone says true story, it's probably not true, right? I visited the QT. I needed to get some gas. I needed to get some air. And I was talking to the clerk, and I was like, I thought that the air was free. And he was like, no, it costs $2.50. And I was like, why? And he said, because of inflation. So anyways.
Air.
I had to. All right, so we'll move in. These are two gorgeous properties that collectively make up the Averys, as we call them. Individually, they're Avery Square and Avery Park. As you can see from the pictures, you can guess which one's the square and which one's the park. And like Keisha mentioned, they're centrally and visibly located on either side of I-44. So we get the economies of scale here because the properties are so close to each other. So that means that we can share maintenance, on-site management, and of course, our awesome property management partner, First Commercial, that we're gonna be working with. So if you go to the next slide. Yeah, so in life, when you have kind of experienced something revolutionary, whether it's like trying a new restaurant or, something beneficial, you always want to share it with the people that are close to you. And that's kind of how I feel about the Averys. If you're ever in Tulsa, and about the gathering places, you probably gathered from Keisha and Vian. If you're ever in Tulsa, I really, really encourage you to go check out the property, and then also check out the gathering place. And then of course, come support the local restaurants and local retail and things like that. Awesome restaurants there in Tulsa, ran by some really awesome people. I'm going to sound a lot like an infomercial here, but these properties have everything. I mean, you've got vaulted ceilings, you've got the swimming pools, you've got a ritzy clubhouse that was just redone by the current sellers. I mean, you walk in there, and I mean, they're handing out champagne to prospective residents there. I mean, it's super nice. Something that you would see in a Class A property. So really nice, really fortunate to have such a great clubhouse there. You've got areas to grill, and then areas for families and just friends to congregate. It has it all, right? So if you go to the next slide. So here is our ultra secret recipe. Doesn't look too secret, doesn't look too crazy, and that's because it isn't. It's very manageable. Success always leaves clues, and so we're going to follow a very successful and proven plan of operations. We're going to go in here and make sure that we use each of our core competencies and superpowers to just execute this plan of operation. So if you go to the next slide. And here's just a basic overview of our business plan. Like Aaron mentioned earlier, the current sellers have spent roughly around $2 million plus in CapEx, capital expenditures. So that's just a fancy word of saying improvements and rehab and things like that. And with that $2 million, they spent about $1 million on boilers and chillers, some of the plumbing and interior and exterior updates. I think about half a million was actually spent on boilers and chillers. If you know anything about boilers and chillers, that's good. That's a high ticket item. So we're going to walk in and just be situated pretty well there. They spent another $500,000 in just exterior grounds updates. And we're just going to pick up where they left off. About half of the units have been. We're going to go in and just turn the other half. And when I say turn, please don't think Chip and Joanna Gaines with goggles and a hammer. A lot of this is just going in and doing very simple things like upgrading the cabinets, or resurfacing hard surfaces like countertops, maybe putting in new sinks or fixtures or lighting, and just things that will bring it up to more of a 2022 standard and just really provide that comfortable living space for our residents. And then we're also going to focus on some other cool strategies. It's not necessarily shown in some of our underwriting, but we've got a really cool opportunity for to revamp these storage lockers that are on the west side of Avery Park. Actually Avery Square, the west side of Avery Square. So we're going to go in and fix every single locker. I think there's around roughly 70 or so, and we're going to charge probably around 20-25 bucks a month, which I know when that breaks down numbers wise, which I'm not the numbers guy, so I'll let Vienne kind of touch on that real quick if she can figure that up. I'm sure she can. I mean, what does that look like numbers wise to have 70 storage lockers that are renting out for 20 to 25 bucks a month? What does that do to our overall property value? And then of course, some of our income.
Yeah,
I'm putting you on the spot here. Well, this is good. This stuff is fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, if we so like Toby mentioned, if we charge like $20, right, per storage locker, and we have 72 total.
Oh, look at Fadi. Look at that. What is that? 21K a year. Okay.
Yeah.
So what does that do to our overall property value?
Yeah, and then if you don't know, so that's like 21K a year, and with the cap rate, so I calculate 17,000, right? And if we assuming cap rate is 6%, then really we increase our property value by about $280,000 to $300,000. So just in doing that storage locker conversion and renting it out, we can up the property value by that much.
That's tremendous. And
yeah,
the cool thing is, I mean, there's such a high demand with the gathering place and, the Arkansas River and tons of green space and trails. A lot of the residents have bikes and things like that they'd love to store there. So huge demand for that. And then we're going to focus on, a lot of the other exterior updates. Now you can imagine just a very well-kept house that's a little older, but just needs some here and there's, right? Still structurally sound, everything still looks good, but can use a little improvement. And that's what we're going to do on a much larger scale. So if you go to the next slide, please. And then here you can clearly see the difference between a classic unit, which is a unit that for the most part hasn't been touched other than maybe some paint, changing out the carpet every time there's a new tenant, and then kind of just doing some here and there things as things break or just need to be replaced. And we're going to go in and bring it up to speed with the second below picture, and obviously make them look more uniform, clean them up, and then just give them that 2022 feel, and ultimately just make sure that they're very, very comfortable for these residents whom we love dearly. And then without further ado, we will pass it on to Vienne. As you can tell, she is the numbers and financial person. She spit out that data fast. I tasked her with it because I knew that she could complete it, and she did. I think Fadi, I don't know, he was pretty quick. He's still working on it in the comments. He's not gonna let it go there. Fadi, we're gonna put you on the team, honorary member. But anyhow, we'll pass it off to Vienne. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Toby. Well, good afternoon, everyone. Really excited to have all of you guys here today, really to learn about this exciting investment with us. So thank you for being here. I know that you haven't eaten anything yet, but you have about 10 more minutes. So I'm gonna go over a little bit about sources and use of our funds here. So as you can see, the total source of funds will be about 14.9 million. From that, we are raising 4.6 million from all the passive investors, and we are taking out a loan amount 10.3 million. So those two combined equal 14.9 million. So how are we going to use these funds? Okay, so the table below here show the purchase price at about 12.55 million. The due diligence fees and fees from managers is $251,000. The closing cost, legal fee, and the rate cap purchase, all of that are lumped together, and that's come out to be $666,000. And then we also budgeted, as Aaron and Toby mentioned earlier, we budgeted $1 million in this property so that we can renovate the remaining 50% of the units and then just increase the NOI. So we have $1 million in there. Then we also set aside about $550,000 for working capital and just reserve in general, just to cover unexpected events. So with that, all these funds combined, it is 14.9. So these two should be equal to each other. Okay. So some of the financial highlights and project returns here. So based on our prediction, we'll get over the course of the investment, you'll get 15% plus IRR, 10% cash on cash return, and that's based on how much you put in. Okay. And then the equity multiple is 1.9% plus. Now, the returns here is, are based on 6.75% exit cap rate at year 7. So for those of you who are familiar with the multifamily investment, right, the lower the cap rate, the higher the returns. Well, I'm saying that we are being very conservative here. 15% and 1.9 equity multiple are a very conservative number. If in 7 years, when we sell this for at 5% cap rate, this number will be more like 2.5, stuff like that. So I just want to point that out to you guys here. One of our assumptions. And for this investment, we do offer 2 different class members, so Class B1 and Class B2. So Class B1 is just for investors that are contributing $300,000 or more. So you get 7% prep first, then anything after that will be split 70-30. 70 go to the LP investors and 30 go to the GPs. And then once we reach the 12% hurdle rate, then it'll be 50-50 split. Okay, Class B2 members setup are very similar to Class B1, but you'll get 6% prep if you invest, less than $300,000. So our exit strategy. So basically, what we'll do is we will refi in year 3. So once we rehab all the units and increase NOI, then we will refi, and we estimate that you'll get about 60% of your initial contribution back. Okay, and then we plan to exit year 5 to 7. And Aaron mentioned this earlier about the 100% bonus depreciation. This is basically this is the last year that it will allow you to accelerate your bonus depreciation. Like from 1st to 5 years, you can all lump it together and put in the 1st year. And then on the lending terms, so we already secured, the lender, everything is ready, set to go. We got the approval. I mean, we just working on the legal paperwork, and that's about it. So the rates that are offered to us are 4.5 base rate plus 50 basis points SOFR index. So that is the floor rate. Okay. So SOFR today is sitting around 0.78%. So by the time we close, it'll be at 5.3%. And then we will get 36-month IO only. If anything happens, we do have 2 12-month extension on this one, guys, and then just exit year 5. Okay. And then also it is important to note that we also buying a rate cap too, because I'm sure everybody will ask about what happened with the interest going up. So we are capping our interest rate at 6.75%. So we also have that taken into account. Okay, so yeah, someone was asking how much is the rate cap. So, okay, and then we are planning to do quarterly distribution on this investment. So it will start after the first 3 months of operation. Yep, we do have signed loan commitment. Everything is done, fully, and then the rate cap is done as well. So this one is just a sample of how much you'll get based on $100,000 investment. I like even number, so $100,000 is easier to talk about. So here is your project cash flow, every year, and then in year 3, when we refi, as I mentioned earlier, you get about 60% your money back. So that's why you get about $60,000 here. And then by the time we sell in year 7, you get the remaining of your contribution back, and then plus the proceed. So with that, it come out to be about 15% IRR, 10% plus cash on cash return, and then equity multiple of 1.9. This slide is just to show you the 7-year pro forma. It listed our annual rent escalation, you know, and the expenses, income, and then also the cash flow here. So all of these information will be in the subscription agreement, and you can see in there as well. Okay.
Vian, I would point out one thing.
Yeah.
You know, we lead off with the annual rent escalator, which I think paints a pretty good picture of what we're looking at in terms of strategy. We have 6.5% for the first 3 years, and we kind of drop it down and really finish off with a nominal 3.5% increase. We had mentioned what it was 4.9% historically up until 21. Ever since then, Tulsa's looked at a 12+% organic rent increase. Just recently, nationwide, some of the estimates are going to be over 7% increase on rents for the next year or so. So this is aggressive for us because we're so conservative. It's aggressive for us, but it's still well under even just the average. And that's just based upon organic rent that's out there.
Okay. Thank you, Aaron.
And again, you even look, we put a 10% vacancy in there for year one. It'll be at 100% when we walk in there. So we feel it's important to cushion in a lot of the conservative numbers that are there. But you can see here, we anticipate these being the floor of what we do.
Thank you. So this next slide is just to go over some of the lease comparables and the deal that is currently under contract that Aaron and Toby mentioned earlier. It has not been sold yet. It is under contract though, so for $83,000 door. Okay. So as you can see here, our one bedroom apartment is about, you know, $200 below average rent here, and then the 2-bedroom is around $130 or so. So we do have room to increase these rents there. And then down the street from our property, the Heights at Midtown is currently under contract at $83,000 door. So as you can see here, this really bring up the value of our property by a lot, because Avery Apartments is under contract for $72,000 door. So if you take that $10,000, we are sitting at like 1.7 million, yeah, in equity there. And so the minimum qualification and timeline. So basically for this investment, we are looking at $50,000 minimum investment, and it is a 506c offering. So we are only allowed to, to sell to our accredited investors, and third-party verification will be required prior to signing the subscription agreement. However, when you sign up for our investor portal, our portal will help you walk through that process. It's pretty straightforward. It should take about 5 minutes if you have all your documentation, such as your tax return or bank statement or whatever that you can use to prove that you make $200,000 or more as an individual, or $300,000 as a married couple, or you have $1 million in net worth. So our investor portal will walk you through all that process there. So today we have the webinar, and then we are working with a lawyer to finalize the subscription agreement for 506c. So these docs should be available tomorrow. So you'll see it in our portal tomorrow. And then we are planning to close 3rd or 4th week of June here. So we do request that all the funds to be in by 6/21 in preparation for closing. Okay. So you may ask, if this excites you and you want to invest, what are the next steps, right? So that'll be the next slide here. So the first step is register for our investor portal, and I put it here. And then we'll be contacting you tomorrow to let you know that, hey, our investment portal is live now. You can go in there, review the subscription agreement, offering agreement, and sign up, okay? And then again, I just want to reiterate that you do need to obtain an accreditation letter as well, but this is pretty straightforward as well. And then just make commitment, sign the subscription, and make the wire transfer by the 21st if possible, because we are trying to close by the end of the month here. All right, so just some disclaimers from our lawyer that we are obligated to put here. So feel free to read them at your own time, but they are here. And then these are just different ways that you can contact us by email. We do have a website, phone number. If you want to set up a meeting with our team here, we do have a Calendly link as well, so feel free to do so too. Other than that, we are here to answer your questions. So let's start question there. I see there are a few questions in the chat box, and I'll let Aaron take over. Okay.
Yeah, I think we've got most of them answered already. Fadi had a great question on did we stress test this at 3% rent growth? And I had said that we always start that way, really. We do bare minimum when we get into the underwriting, and we really don't even push a deal forward if it doesn't work as a standalone facility, basically. Yeah, it sailed at 3%, which is why we continued to pursue it and then learn more about where we could push most accurately. Our numbers now are based upon a lot of feedback we've gotten from both the current property manager, the property manager we're going to be bringing in, and some others within the area. So yeah, that's where those particular numbers come from. And even then, as you'll notice, we never push the rent escalation into to hitting market averages until usually about year 3 or so. So by year 3, we would have caught up to what rent averages would be now. Now, in reality, what do? We push far more aggressively than that. Our first year or 2 is really about being able to sail well beyond the numbers that you see out there. But in terms of keeping it at a conservative approach, that's why we that's why we leave it at where we do. Good question on that one. I want to say there was another one that was typed in that we did respond to. You can see it in there. There's the answer to it as well.
Okay. I think we answer, almost all the questions.
Yeah, some good questions today.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, good feedback. So thank you. And I think Fodi asked how much is the rate cap. So, so I think our so the first proposal that we have is about $177,000. But as you know, as the spread gets smaller, the rate cap will be lower. So by the time we close, it should be lower. Okay. Because at that time when we got the quote, SOFR index was at 0.25 or 0.5, but now it's at 0.7. So, okay.
I think it looks like someone just asked about capital that we put in as well. I don't necessarily have that exact number yet, but as far as the GP goes, wise, we always put money as LP on the LP side as well. We believe in that, but I think we now have a little over 750,000 put into that have been sent over to the seller to get us going, not including inspection and acquisition costs that we've incurred so far. But yeah, all of it goes into that. We really believe in being a part of that as well. Good question.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay. Well, so if you guys are ready, you know how to contact us. There are many ways to contact us. And if you have any more questions, please feel free to reach out to one of the sponsors here. Myself, Keisha, Aaron, and Toby will be here to answer anything that you want. And, and then we always open for investors to visit the properties as well when we're there too. That's something that we can arrange to, it's very typical. We can do that. We can't wait to show you how beautiful these 2 properties are. Yeah.
But we can show you in person.
Yeah.
Yes, we will show you in person. Yes. Yep. Keisha is coming to Tulsa to visit with, and I'll be there with her as well, July 13th. So if anybody want to come party with us, we'll be there. Okay.
Okay.
July 13th. After we close, we're going to have a party there. Okay.
All right. Well, thank you all. Thank you all for your time. Really excited to connect with you off this as well.
Okay,
Thank
all right.
you.
Thank
All
you.
right, bye, everybody.
Bye.